Okay, we are live right now. We are live talking a little bit about the trade deadline and other topics. If you guys are here a little bit later on, we are basically, if you're here afterwards to watch this, we are going to be talking about, so I've got about an hour. So the topics we are going to be talking about are the trade deadline. And then we're going to talk about a couple of kind of crazy trades. A potential Kelsey Plum trade that could change everything, and Dantas trade. How nobody wants Alyssa Thomas, and the Mercury appear to be trying to get off Alyssa Thomas, and nobody wants her. And yeah, we're going to also talk about Monica McNutt's history with Caitlin Clark, and we're going to be previewing the Fever versus Seattle. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty quick stream, and we have 53 people in here right now. So as soon as the first person types in chat, we're going to start. As soon as the very first person types in chat, we are going to start the stream. All it needs is one single person to type in chat. Here, perfect. So the WNBA trade deadline is going to be a bit crazy. It is going to be crazy. And we've now got a situation where with The Athletic, we have... So, yeah, the WNBA trade deadline is going to be crazy. It is going to be crazy. And you can see right here with this article by Annie that there is one of the probable best player in the world in the year of 2025 in Nafisa Collier now appears to be potentially on the trade block, which is wild. Which is absolutely wild. We have now got superstars on the trade block. And we've also got other non-stars on the trade block. Teams that are going to be desperate and make desperate moves like the Phoenix Mercury, because the Phoenix Mercury, if they don't, they're in a bit of bother. If they don't make the playoffs, they're in win now. So, you can see this, expiring contracts to watch. So, Kelsey Plum being traded feels like it's going to happen, which is why I'm going to give that its own video. Because apparently, Kelsey Plum has made it clear she's not going to re-sign in LA. And the question is if you're the LA Sparks, what are the odds of you? Are the odds of you making the playoffs high or low? Low. The odds of you making the playoffs as an LA Sparks, if you're that organization, the odds of you making the playoffs is extremely low. And obviously, getting Kelsey Plum for a trade that was at the time supposed to be Olivia Miles was a crazy one. It was a crazy one. But then also, signing Kelsey Plum to a bargain contract for a 1-year deal, while giving 3 years to Ariel Atkins, 3 years to Diarca Hamby, I think it was 2 years to Neka, all on higher pay. She's the fourth highest paid player on the team. And if you're Kelsey Plum, you're we're actually kind of fucked. We got nothing here. As a team, we got no future. We got nada. We have nothing right now. We're not going to be good now. We're not going to be good in the future. And if I'm Kelsey Plum, I'm I'm the second youngest of our core. Kelsey Plum is very close to being on the downturn of her career. She is very, very, very close to being on. I'm not even going to say it. She's on the back nine. She's still doing well, but we've seen how quickly the regression of Kalia Copper, who's only, I think, a year older than Kelsey Plum, has been. We've seen how quickly the regression of Jewel Lloyd. We've seen, I'm going to be real, we've seen the regression of Stewie, as great as Stewie is. Like, prior to 2024, Stewie was probably seen as greater all time than Angel Wilson. And now no one's doing that. So we've seen it. We have seen that happen. So if you're Kelsey Plum, you are at your peak has been probably longer than most people's. Like, you are 32 years old. You're born in the year 1994. Like, you're 2 years older than me. Like, that is bad. Like, that's aging in sports terms. And this is your real last chance of getting a ring as a number one. And maybe, if we're going to be real here, with Kelsey Plum, maybe she's happy out to just go be the number one. She's already won her titles. But, like, there is a clear team she should be going to, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But Kelsey Plum's clearly on the block. And then you've got some of the other moves here. The Lynx star Nafisa Collier is another franchise player who, because of terms of her contract, has to be considered a trade option. That being said, saying we need to trade Nafisa Collier is like saying the Fever need to trade Kelsey Mitchell. It is basically the same thing, except the Lynx are in a position where they can absolutely afford to bring Nafisa Collier back on any contract she wants. Like, the Lynx are in a position because they've got Emma Chikova coming back on a minimum. Dorka Juhas has got another year. Thank you, Cabrillo, for the membership. Just wanted to be in the video. 2K, WNBA, it doesn't seem to change. But we're being real when it comes to fee. Like, if the argument is that that they need a trader because they're good without her and they don't want to lose her for nothing, then again, why? Like, that's basically saying the Fever need to trade Kelsey Mitchell for the same reason. They're at this point in the year, no one's going to say that during the season. No one is going to say that during the season. But the thing is, Cheryl Reeve being on every team is going to be opportunistic to improve their roster. Cheryl Reeve told reporters Minnesota on Monday, every team may be a different spot in terms of what they need, where they should or shouldn't, where certain team has been, quote, open for business, open-minded. And look, I think as much as anything, they are, like, the Lynx are just kind of keeping their eye out on everybody. I think if you're the Lynx, you're not going to go and trade Nafisa Collier. You're just not. Like, you're absolutely not going to trade who is probably your best player, like one of the, 3 best players in the history of your franchise? Like, if you look at their cap sheet, like, Nia Coffey is under contract next year on a near minimum contract. She's making $350K next year. Maya Caldwell's on a minimum. Hamzova's on a minimum. Delair's on a minimum. Chikova has 3 more years on a minimum. Kosu has 2 more years on a minimum. Dorka Juhas has another year on reserve free agent, so they can bring her back down to a minimum. They can bring her back down. They're able to get, when it comes to their salary cap, they're able to get the season-ending player exception on Emma Chikova. So if you're looking, and they're able to get another dev slot in. So my guess for the Minnesota Lynx is they probably are looking to trade, but I think it's going to be more so, or they're going to be looking to bring somebody in, but I think it's more so going to be, we're going to try to bring in a player with the exception, the injured players exception. We're going to try bring in a player who has not played in the WNBA this year. And we are going to bring in that player to fill in our need as a backup center and a backup to Nafisa Collier. We are going to try bring in for $200,000 a year. We're going to try bring in Emma Messiman. That is my theory. That is my theory with the Minnesota Lynx, is that they are planning on using, more so when she's talking about being open for business, but by the sound of things with Cheryl Reeve, it sounds like they're waiting just to get their cash back from Emma Chikova into their salary cap room. I believe, personally, that they're probably going to try bringing Emma. That would be my guess for that. Phoenix Mercury, which is an interesting one because the Mercury suck. The Mercury really suck. And they're not close to making the playoffs. Like, they need a miracle. And they're 12th seed. They are 10-18. They're 5 games off the playoffs with 16 games to go. Like, the Mercury will not make the playoffs. And it says here, there were trade talks for Thomas, including during the Mercury's losing streaks earlier in the year, but sources have gone cold. Nobody wants Alyssa Thomas. They made all these trades, and nobody wants Alyssa Thomas. They lost Jovana Nogic for whatever reason. It says here, one player that could be a target as they look to salvage the season is forward Alana Smith. Alana Smith's on a 3-year max. If you bring in Alana Smith and you are the Phoenix Mercury, you are committing 3-year max to a player who averages 5 points per game and has been terrible on defense this year. Yes, does she make your team better? Yeah, but does she screw over any chance of you winning next year and the year after? Yeah. Like, you cannot, do the Phoenix Mercury want to be the 10th seed next year? Because that's what you're going to get if you're taking Alana Smith. Maybe, if you take Alana Smith, you get two first round picks from Vegas. Or you even get a first round pick from South Vegas. Yeah, sorry, Vegas' first round pick. Or Dallas' first round pick. Maybe you go and do that. Maybe you do. But, I really don't know. And then Benijah Laney-Hamilton. She's obviously gone. It's aware that's the problem. Because New York they have to get rid of her. But it's how exactly do we get rid of her without improving a contending team? Because she's a rental. The only teams that will sign her are rentals. So it's now at the stage where it's somebody... the New York Liberty have to decide whether or not it's better to just not, or it's better to have her sit for the season or get an asset and improve another team. I really don't know. I have a weird feeling because nobody's going to take the hit for a rental. I really don't know. I really don't know what's happening. Connecticut Sun are going to be sellers. I think they are going to sell me tomorrow. And if I'm going to be real, Washington giving up Lauren Betts for Kelsey Plum straight up kind of sounds like a win-win. That kind of sounds like a win-win. Either way, though, there's going to be big trades. Stars are going to be traded. It's not like 2 years ago where to be fair, Mabry got traded 2 years ago for All-Star weekend. But trade deadline was Maisha Hines-Allen 2 years ago. Last year was what? Dejanay going to... was the trade deadline Dejanay going to Minnesota? I think that was the trade deadline trade last year. But yeah, that seems to be it. We got to talk about the Kelsey Plum trade. Of all trades that have the ability to change the entire WNBA, it is the Kelsey Plum trade that really does. Kelsey Plum has the ability to change who wins the title this year. Because there are a couple of really interesting teams that could trade for Kelsey Plum and go into title contention. For me, the most obvious we are going to trade for Kelsey Plum, and it's going to help us win a title, is the Golden State Valkyries. You give up Tip Hayes and Jacite, and you get her plus salary. You get Kelsey Plum plus something. Plus whatever salary, fucking Ji-Yoon Park or something. Jacite, and I've talked plenty about how the trade destination for Caitlin Clark would be obvious for being the, with it being the Valkyries. But if we're being real, this does the same thing. This does the same thing for the Valkyries as trading for Caitlin Clark would have. And we're at the stage now where I'm like, okay, if you give the Valkyries Kelsey Plum, I think they pretty much go into the we are probably the best team in the league category. Like they become my favorites. I don't think there's been a team other than Minnesota that have been outstanding this year. Like the Valkyries and the Fever have the same problems. I have the opposite problems. The Valkyries are one of the greatest defensive teams of all time, but they don't have a 1. They don't have a 1. They don't have a star. They don't have great offense. The Indiana Fever are the greatest scoring team of all time. And they both, I don't think, have enough to win it. The Valks are not going to win without a star. They're just not. They are straight up just not going to win without a star. And maybe, if you're the Golden State Valkyries, you're thinking, okay, what we're not going to do is we can get Kelsey Plum in free agency. So we're not going to give up any assets for Kelsey Plum. Which is why I think that Jacite makes sense from the perspective of the Golden State Valkyries. Why do I think Jacite makes sense? Jacite just hasn't done anything. Like, I think them protecting Jacite over Carla Late is a regret in hindsight. I just think Jacite is just not their is not the player that they envisioned, and I think she might have to go somewhere else because they're trying to play her as this off-ball player and she's a big guard. But another team for Kelsey Plum that'd be really interesting, and there's a very, very obvious trade, and it's one where Kelsey Plum can then sign for 2 more years on a max without having to worry too much about it, because I don't foresee Citron or Kiki making an all-WNBA team. It's the Washington Mystics. Like, the Mystics have been really good, especially since they decide. Like, I don't think people understand. The Mystics, after about 10 games and realized the Sky were terrible, decided, okay, we're going to go for this, because initially they were trying to tank. Like, Sydney Johnson was going 5 on, 5 off. They were trying to shamelessly tank. Like, they were literally out there throwing games. And then they decided, okay, we're going to try win. Because they saw the Sky were doing bad because they held a pick swap with the Sky. And you then have the Mystics now, who are 14 and 12, who are a half a game off 7, who are only like, if you add Kelsey Plum to that team, suddenly you're looking at a team that's, in my opinion, Dallas Wings level. I think they're Dallas Wings level. What's Sydney Taylor's value? Untradeable. She's on a 4-year minimum contract. Untradeable. Sydney Taylor's value due to her ability and her contract is fucking Paige Bueckers. Like the Sky wouldn't do a straight up Sydney Taylor for AZ Foot trade because of that contract. Like, that is, Sydney Taylor's one of the 5 highest value contracts in the league. But I do feel like Kelsey Plum, her trade has the ability to swing things, because I think, again, if you're the Sparks, you're too far off the playoffs. You're 4 games off the playoffs. Kelsey Plum's missing at least another week of the season. So you're playing in that week. You're probably, before she comes back, you're probably losing another 2 games. You're already out of the playoffs, essentially, then. You're probably out of the playoffs. And if you're Kelsey Plum, it's like, okay, now we have a situation where this is an obvious, we need to get off her. If she's going to leave LA, I mean, the Sparks know they need to get off her. And if I'm the LA Sparks, especially with the fact that you've only got 1 more year on Cam Brink's rookie deal, I'm looking at tearing it down. I don't think that Atkins or Neck are negative assets. I think De'Erica Hamby's a negative asset. Like, I think De'Erica Hamby is tough, but the thing is, they're all on long-term deals. You have the off-season to trade them. They're a lot easier to trade during the season. Like, you could trade Cam Brink for the 7th pick in next year's draft in January, while teams have all the cap room. It becomes much easier then. So it's not the it's not the biggest thing in the world. But I do think in general, when it comes to when it comes to players where that really a team that should be tearing it down, I do feel like the Sparks are going to do it, and I think the Kelsey Plum trade is a really obvious one. I would be shocked. I think I really, really would be shocked if Kelsey Plum doesn't end up being traded at some stage anyway. Because, well, to some team, because it just makes no sense. Like, imagine if you kept Kelsey Plum, an injured Kelsey Plum, and with an injured Kelsey Plum, what do you get? You get nothing. You get nothing. You're going nowhere. You're not doing anything. The team was a complete failure. The Ariel Atkins trade might be one of the dumbest things the team has done. And I liked Ariel Atkins. I genuinely was so high on Ariel Atkins coming out of that 2024 season. She was so good that year. And Atkins is somebody who has been a starter on championship teams, who was the youngest Olympian, who, by the way, is the same age as Sabrina. She's the same age as Sabrina. She's younger than Kelsey Plum. She's the same age as Jackie Young. And she was the one who made the 2021 Olympics team. None of them. It wasn't Sabrina. It wasn't Jackie Young. It was the youngest player on that team was Ariel Atkins. She was the young guard they brought. She was the one who made that team at 24 years old. It was Ariel Atkins made the last Olympics team prior to that. So it's for me, she made sense. It made sense for Chicago to do what they did. It made no sense to give Chicago the bailout and give them Rickea Jackson. I don't give a shit that the analytics think Rickea Jackson's terrible at basketball. Analytics think an awful lot of 1As are terrible at basketball, by the way. An awful lot of 1A guards, analytics will tell you suck at basketball. And yeah, the Sparks just got it. They just got to make the trade. And for Kelsey Plum, if she ends up on the Mystics long term, the Mystics don't need Lauren Betts. They really don't. It makes a lot of sense just to get off Betts. It really does. And then suddenly you've now got a Kelsey Plum long term. That could be insane. That just could be insane. Also, second. So we got to talk about this one right here for the Indiana Fever. We got to talk about this from the Indiana Fever. For me, this is one of those things where I'm every day getting rid of Justine Passat looks worse. And again, I'm not saying Justine Passat would make a difference today. I'm not saying that Justine Passat would make a difference this year. I'm not saying any of that because I don't think she would. I don't think Justine Passat is ready for 2026. But if you've been watching her play for the Aces, there are still flashes. Even though she hasn't played a lot. She hasn't played a lot of minutes. She hasn't looked good other than her debut. There's been still some flashes of what Passat can do. But Dantas is now done. She's not even able to travel with the team with a knee injury. That's not good. The last player who was so injured they couldn't travel was Chloe Bibby. And her knee injury, she was out for 2/3 of the season. And yes, I understand the Indiana Fever said it was nothing and just normal swelling and she couldn't suit up. But she was out for most of the EuroLeague season. Dantas got hurt the day they got rid of Justine Passat. The day they got rid of Passat. The Fever, by the way, had the ability to match. You know the way it was the Fever have 48 hours to match for Justine Passat? And then they announced they weren't going to do it. That was the last day Dantas ever saw the floor. Is it Paige? Yeah. I'm playing in a summer league where we have to wear white. And it's one of the only white jerseys I own. it is one of those things now where is live, yeah. Where why did they keep Dantas? Obviously, Caitlin's gonna be probable for the whole year. Why do we have to note that Bree Hall is probable? She's on a dev contract. Like, Damiris Dantas taking a valuable roster spot. Yeah, just fire her and make her an assistant coach. Dantas not with the team. They kept 11 players instead of Passat. Why do you still have Dantas on the team? She's not with the team. Even when she's with the team, she's injured. Even when she's not injured, she doesn't play. Even when she does play, she sucks. Yeah. It is very true. And look, I think in general, Damiris Dantas seems like a lovely human being. And yeah, she's had really bad luck when it comes to injuries. Both of those points are factually correct. Like when it comes to Damiris Dantas, it is not always her fault. Yes, obviously, it does look like why is we picking on Dantas? I'm sorry, this is part of a team that we support and she sucks. I'm sorry, it happens. That happens. Like, I'm gonna be real here. If you are the Indiana Fever, fuck it. Grace Berger was better to have kept than Damiris Dantas. I don't even care. Play Raven at center for all I care. It is one of these things. It is genuinely one of these things where I'm like, I'm just looking at it and seeing the team and thinking, how exactly did you go into the offseason watching KK Timpson ride the end of the bench for a EuroLeague team and see her 21-year-old 6'5" athlete shooter starting center while Dantas is playing for Bottas in Turkey, one of the worst teams in the Turkish league, and deciding we're going to take the old, slow, non-shooter and we're going to leave the potential all-star 6'5" athlete. And I get it. Obviously, Chikova has tore her ACL. But you can't even use that excuse anymore because Dantas is hurt. Dantas is hurt. The first thing they did in the offseason was re-sign Damiris Dantas. It was the first thing we heard. While they were trying to get everyone, the first thing this team did was re-sign Damiris Dantas. It was the first thing they did. It's a double hit because she doesn't play and has no trade value. What is she there for? I don't know. She seems like a nice human being. If that's the case, hire her as an assistant coach. Bring her in as an assistant coach. And for saying, do I read these comments? Yes, I respond to everyone. But still, bring her in as an assistant coach or something. She is like 6th in the depth chart. I'm sorry, she's worse than Grace Van Slooten. She is a worse player. She is a worse player than Grace Van Slooten. And yeah, it's one of those things now where I'm like, I can't believe they've done this. The Fever are too loyal and need better coaching. Sedona Prince. Fuck it. At this stage, I'd take Sedona Prince. Sedona Prince stinks, but I'd take Sedona Prince at this stage. Why do I hate Dance? I don't, it has to be very clear. She's terrible at basketball. She seems like a lovely human being. She's always injured. She's slow. She plays no defense. She's a shooter who can't shoot. She's not a great passer. She is directly at fault for minimum 2 turnovers a game while Caitlin Clark's on the floor. She doesn't run up and down the floor very fast. She doesn't get back on defense. There are times where she plays fake defense in the halfway line and gives up an open layup just so it appears she's playing defense. It's one of those things where they actually I really, really don't know what exactly the Fever are doing. I don't know what their plan is. I don't know what way they're going about this, and I don't know what the outcome of this is, of what they're doing is going to be, and why they did it in the first place. They should have spent the whole season scouting for players. Sedona has multiple allegations. Yeah, so do half of this fucking league. Like, let's be real. Ashlyn Watkins is being mocked to the Fever next year. No team is going to have an issue drafting Ashlyn Watkins. No team hasn't had an issue signing Brittany Griner. So, like, I get it. You don't want to sign anyone that's controversial, but fuck it. I say half a league, but there's enough people in the WNBA with allegations. Like, yeah, bring in Liz Kitley for all I care. Like, literally anyone. She's not even with the team. She's not even with the damn team. But yeah, Diamond Miller, the Fever can't. There's no way they can match contracts with Diamond Miller unless it's like giving up Lexi. But yeah, it is a weird one. Damiris fucking Dantas. Oh my god! Like, why? Everything with this. She's never played as we've seen. When she's with the team, she's injured. When she's not injured, she doesn't get on, and when she gets on, she's terrible. Like, it's very true. What about Anissa Morrow? Not like the Fever will do a trade. Like, there's one thing that I think the Fever have to do. I actually, like, as much as you want to say, oh no, they're too loyal. Like, the Fever, like, it's not a. Like, the Fever have to trade Monique Billings by free agency next year. This is not a situation where you're thinking, okay, yeah, the Fever are going to be like, oh, they can keep going. They can keep going and with Monique Billings. No. If they want to keep Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell, they need to trade Monique Billings and Lexi Hull. You can keep both of them and keep one of Mo Billings and Lexi Hull, but the rest of your team is going to be completely garbage. You need, like, thank you for the $5, Mr. Johnson. No one hates Dantas. She's not good. Don't understand how players like Dantas and Bree Turner have jobs, I'm guessing. 2 years, $600K for sideline clapping. Yep, the Fever will hire them, though. The Fever will hire those sideline clappers. I got blocked by Bree Turner. The only thing negative I've ever said about Bree Turner was I have called her the human shot clock plenty of times. So, fair enough, getting blocked for that. But the Fever have to find a way of trading Monique Billings. I don't know if they do it this year, but everyone talking about the Fever at the deadline, and there's no real way of the Fever matching contracts and getting somebody in. The only way the Fever are going to be able to match contracts is simply put by trading Caitlin Clark, which is not happening this season. Monique Billings has to be on the block. And we got to look at teams that will be interested in signing Monique Billings. One positive with Monique Billings is that she's actually started hitting a couple of three-point shots. A team with salary cap room that might be interested in signing Monique Billings is the Phoenix Mercury. The Mercury have the cap room to eat the Mo Billings contract. And there's rumors of them eating the Alana Smith contract. The Monique Billings contract is significantly better. A player that you can give up, because the Mercury are trying to salvage this season. If you are the Indiana Fever, if Monique Billings is on the block, I'm looking and trying to bring in a Yai. Like, do you go small? Do you start, like, do you give Hines Allen a bit more run? Do you bring in, do you go make a like for like? Another interesting one is Brashawn. I don't love Brashawn, but she can play a little bit of the 4. And it's salary. You don't have to keep her, it's salary. For me, Kiara Linskins is another option, again, on that minimum deal. Kiara Linskins is not 6'4". She has been listed as 6'7" her entire career. Kiara Linskins is a 6'7" big body who can shoot the 3. Is she spectacular? No. Is she better than Monique Billings? No. But if you're the Indiana Fever, you have to think about this, where it's like, we might need, do we get flexibility this year? Or do we go and try to make a run at it next year? Because there's no scenario where Monique Billings shoots or suits. And the odds, for if you're saying, and if anyone's making the argument of they can't trade Monique Billings for an inferior player, the way I look at it, I'm saying with Monique Billings that you can do that because starting Michaela Timpson is addition by subtraction. I think starting KK Timpson, giving Maisha Hines-Allen the bench big role, and bringing in Sophie as a small ball 4 on occasion, and getting Grace Van Sluten back into the lineup, for me, is a big one. Like, I would rather see that. Or, again, if you're bringing in Kiara Linskins becomes the backup center instead of Van Sluten. KK becomes the starter and MHA becomes the backup. I think that makes the team better in an addition by subtraction. But the only way, when it comes down to it for Monique Billings, the only way that she makes, the only way she makes it to next season for the Fever is if she's is if the Fever get rid of one of Caitlin Clark or Kelsey Mitchell. Like, it's as simple as that. They have to get rid of one of Caitlin Clark or Kelsey Mitchell. Otherwise, Monique Billings is gone. And at least right now, the Fever don't look desperate. In January, the Fever, by the way, everyone's talking about the Fever. The Fever are going to lose their first round pick giving up Monique Billings if they do it in the offseason. If they give up Billings in the offseason, it's going to cost a first. That is it. Just on a 1-year deal, because every single team knows you have to get off her to keep Caitlin and Kelsey together. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that if you want to keep Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell together, you have to get rid of Billings. So suddenly then, in the offseason, it's now a situation where teams are like, we're not going to we're going to make the Indiana Fever worse unless they give us a pick. We're going to have to get another asset. We're going to take a first, or we're going to take Raven, or we're going to take multiple pick swaps to take Mo Billings' contract. Because we don't have the benefit of the offseason. There is a team in the Mercury that's panicking. That is panicking. If you want to make a trade with Portland, if you want to make a trade with Toronto, if you want to make a trade with Washington for Monique Billings, you're still probably giving up an asset or taking on another negative asset. Like, you're still probably taking on a bad contract. Or you're giving up a couple of swaps. The Mercury might be desperate enough to make this deal. Because everyone was talking about, they might sign Alana Smith. She's been better than Alana Smith this season. She fits what the Mercury want to do. She walks right in as a starter. And she's actually shown an ability to shoot the ball this year. And Mo Billings and the Mercury actually have assets, or they're desperate enough that they might not give assets back to the Fever. Or they might not demand, they might give assets back, and they might not demand extra assets to take the Mo Billings contract. This might be the one time the Indiana Fever have an ability to get off Mo, without screwing over their future. And the way I'm thinking about it is it feels like something the Fever should be doing. Will they do it? Who's to say? This is the Indiana Fever we're talking about. Who's to say? Should they do it? Yes. I think we all should be in agreement that they should do it. For teams saying they'll be willing to take Lexi Hall and 1 or 2 first rounders, or 1 and 2 second rounders, I do think they might have to get off Lexi Hall. But Lexi Hall is a more valuable contract because at least with Lexi Hall, you have the advantage of she's a big name. She'll sell jerseys. Like, it helps in a way the marketing of your team. But yeah. So they said Billings will not fit in with the culture of the Mercury. Do you know where Mo Billings played in the 2024 season? Do you know where she played in 2024? The Mercury. But yeah, for me, it just feels like this is a no-brainer if you're Indiana. Apparently, Venus are trying to trade Alyssa Thomas. So this is one of the most hilarious things. This is actually like, I love seeing this. I love seeing this. As an Alyssa Thomas hater, apparently Phoenix are trying to trade her, and no one wants her. Apparently, nobody wants Alyssa Thomas. They have been trying. They've been trying to offload her, and trade talks have gone cold. She is an old player on a long-term deal, who you have to build around, who can't shoot. It is mad. It is mad seeing stuff like that. Because now we're at the stage where this is a player that was ranked as who has gone from, according to ESPN, the second best player in the league to a negative asset on her team. And that's the problem. This is Ben Simmons with a better attitude. That's just what she is. She's Ben Simmons with a better attitude. And that's not enough because that's a really good player. But there was always going to come a point in Ben Simmons' career where he just wasn't going to be good. He was going to fade out fast. Because if you cannot shoot the ball, if you can't shoot it, and then you're looking at the analytics as well. You're looking at all the assists and the playmaking numbers. They have Alyssa Thomas basically as one of the weaker playmakers in the league. Like, the analytics are coming out there and are saying, like, that Alyssa Thomas is, if you're looking at this right here, the box score creation numbers. Box creation versus assists. Her box creation, of everyone who's averaging more than 4 assists per game, she has the lowest box creation in the league. She has the lowest percentage of rim assists. She is getting assists of DHOs. She is literally getting assists of DHOs. And people are talking about her being the best playmaker. She is spamming DHOs. That's all she does. She spams DHOs and passes it side to side, and people are hitting shots. That is pretty much it. Like, her playmaking has gone to zero. Her team stinks. Especially when you're an old player. Everything in trade is, what have you done lately? What have you done lately? And Alyssa Thomas is on a multi-year maximum contract. The Phoenix Mercury are a shit show. On and off the floor, it seems. They are in free fall. Their hidden gem, super or star signing rookie quit the team. I say Olivia Miles is not the best rookie ever. Olivia Miles is having the best rookie season ever. I think she's having a better season than Candace Parker. Sue me if you disagree. And it is basically, again, all the advanced stats are saying that she is putting up the most empty stats imaginable. And that's what, for me, that's what I like to see. Like, that is what you like to see for a player that has been the probably dirtiest player in the league. Probably the dirtiest player in the league since she's come into the league. we now have we're seeing her downfall in real time. We are now seeing the downfall in real time of Alyssa Thomas. Her team is gone. Like, her team's done. They're in panic mode. They're in so much panic mode. There's talk of them trading for the worst contract in basketball history in Alana Smith. A max contract player averaging 4 points per game and playing no defense. A max contract player who averages 4 points per game and plays no defense. They're so desperate that they're rumored to be trying to trade for that player. And now it's like, for me, I'm loving this. I'm absolutely loving this. I'm like, we're now getting to see the downfall of a player. It's like showing up. It's like, you know what, showing up to what's the funeral meme? And AT is now in the worst situation. Satu left. And by the way, getting off Satu was not the worst thing in the world. She's hardly picked up a basketball this year. But like, Satu's gone. Like, Copper's massively regressed. And by the way, I don't think people understand this. Kalia Copper and Alyssa Thomas were terrible with each other in the regular season last year. It was literally just the playoffs. Copper had a few good games. They were terrible with each other. And now this team suddenly has a Dewana Bonner. You now have Dewana Bonner and Alyssa Thomas. Like, you traded away everything to bring in Alyssa Thomas and Satu Sabally, and you pissed off all your old players. You pissed off some of your franchise legends. And now you are back to square one. And I couldn't be happier. I could not be happier. There is no team that I'm happier for the downfall of than this team. They've got a real good coach who's about to be ran out of the league. And it's not his fault. It's not his fault. He's done his job. Like, to get to the finals with the team he had last year, like, Kat Westbell got hurt. Onika Makani came over late. They never got into a rhythm. All of that. And some lucky team is going to end up hiring Nate Tibbetts after he gets fired, and he inevitably gets blamed for this. But when you are the star, and you have been healthy, and everything is built around you, and you as a team are the worst performing team, or the most disappointing team, like maybe in WNBA history, it is on your shoulders. And then when your team's trying to trade you and they can't, like, you're supposed to be the second best player in the world, and your team can't even trade you. They can't even find a team willing to take your contract. And maybe it is one of these things where you got, like, the Phoenix Mercury aren't looking at you like a negative asset, and maybe if you were looked at like a negative asset, teams would trade for you. But no, at this point in time, Alyssa Thomas is a negative asset. No matter what Ennio wants to say, in 2026, and Alyssa Thomas, who can't shoot, whose playmaking is significantly worse than her numbers would suggest, who's on a poor team, whose defense is not what it was in her prime, who has massively regressed as a player, whose team sucks. Like, everyone calls her the greatest floor raiser in the sport. Her team stinks. That player is a negative asset. And I wonder what the Phoenix Mercury are going to do with Alyssa Thomas. I wonder if a team's be desperate enough to take her in the offseason. But, like, I don't even know what role she plays anymore in the league. I really don't. But last thing before ending this stream, and if you guys are new to the channel, obviously subscribe. Be greatly, greatly appreciated. We're talking about the Monica McNutt and Caitlin Clark situation. Because if we are being real, Caitlin Clark has broken Monica McNutt's brain. For years. For years, she has broken Monica McNutt's brain. And everyone wants to talk about what happened 2 or 3 days ago and talk about that like that's the main thing. But no, Monica McNutt has gone out of her way to hate Caitlin Clark for years. And my favorite part about all this is that I saw a tweet and it was like, because it was on the ESPN's Women's Sports Show on Sunday. And someone tweeted out and it was like, of course ESPN would use their women's sports show to have women complaining about other women. And it's like, yeah. Yeah, like it is not, she is not doing any stereotype any good here. She's not doing any stereotype any good. She is the worst of it. And by the way, while she's going on that rant about Caitlin Clark, while she was going on that rant, Andrea Carter is basically being like, well, essentially being like, yeah, you're part of the problem. She's like, she was heavily implying that. But let's take a look at this.
This was the other way around. Oh, Lord, you can only imagine how the conversation would have gone. The fact that the WNBA has to put out a statement because of racist comments and unsafe conditions.
It was, by the way, this was said 3 days later from Monica McNutt. Within 2 hours of that game ending, everybody knew that the fan who claimed they heard the noise was not at the game and they heard a dolphin noise on the TV. They pretended to be at the game. And this is 3 days later, Monica McNutt pretending that it's a real thing. Irresponsible. That is just irresponsible. And it's reckless and, dare I say, maybe even malicious.
Toward Angel Reese. Like, I just want people to be mindful.
Nothing in that arena other than booing Angel Reese happened. Nothing in that arena happened other than booing Angel Reese. And if booing Angel Reese is enough a problem that you want to talk about it, so be it. So be it. If you want to say that the Fever are wrong to boo another player, so be it. If you want to make that argument, I don't agree with it, but that's what actually happened. If you want to continue to make up that someone was said in the crowd towards Angel Reese and never happened, days after it was proven false, then that's, I don't know if that's reckless. I don't know if it's reckless or malicious. One or the two.
Mindful that whether you like it or not, anytime something happens with the two of them, one is automatically put as a victim and one is,
to your point, who have laid the groundwork for Caitlin Clark to come in and now take it to the next level. That's all I'm saying in these conversations. Kennedy Carter's behavior is not indicative of the entire league. We are still...
I don't think people understand as well. You're saying Kennedy Carter's behavior is not indicative of the entire league. This game happened on June the 1st. Do you know what happened on May the 30th? Victoria Vivian's running back turns around and clocks Caitlin Clark in the neck. Caitlin Clark got punched by Victoria Vivian's 48 hours before she got hip checked by Kennedy Carter. 48 hours before. Let's be very real here. 48 hours earlier, she got hip checked by Kennedy Carter. Like, you can't... When people were going into that game saying Caitlin Clark was being targeted and then the referees ignored a hip check, everyone was saying that before the Sky game, and that goes and happens. I'm sorry, that's not the time. That's not the time to say it's not indicative of the league. Caitlin Clark had already been hit with the multiple swats to the face. The double swat to the face by Ezzy Magbegor and Breanna Steward that were uncalled. The punch to the neck by Victoria Vivian's. And this. And by the way, were these all in the first 20 days of Caitlin Clark being in the league? Yes. She got hit with 4 cheap shots in her first 20 days, and then McNutt has the balls to say this.
Talking about competition where you are allowed to get a little extra elbow in if you are competing and you do it within the parameters of the game. The game is physical. Caitlin is helping to grow the league. These women understand that, but she cannot be babied as a rookie. That's all I'm at.
Stephen A. Smith is like, she's getting cheap shot. What are you talking about? It's like saying after Draymond got Rudy Gobert, you're babying Rudy Gobert.
All right.
Who talks about the
involved? So listening to that, what was your reaction?
I thought the choice, the word of being fearful of the conversation after a game that she alluded to was interesting because oftentimes it seems, at least in the larger discourse, and not that it's not an emotional experience for Caitlin Clark because I believe that it is, but it's the folks that are accused of doing something outside of the parameters of competition that are actually...
So basically, she's like, Caitlin Clark's like, oh man, I just got cheap shotted, and whenever I get cheap shotted, I'm scared about what's going to happen. She's like, well, it's actually the other person who's at fault. You know what? That person who jumped on top of you, put a fist in your neck and tried to stamp on you and kneed you in the groin, they're the victim. You should worry about what they're doing. Like, you should worry about helping it for them. Like, fuck off,
The ones that are fearful when you look at their social medias. This is what I will say.
Look at their social medias. Caitlin Clark's not only getting death threats, like, you can see there are public death threats towards Caitlin Clark. Public death threats towards Caitlin Clark. Not private, public, you can see them.
24, she is a shining star in the galaxy of the WNBA. But I do think as she continues to matriculate through this league, there's room for a little bit.
Matriculate through this league was like, I get it. I'm somebody that's used words wrong, but come on, not on ESPN.
More accountability and self-awareness in terms of her role in the larger sisterhood, if she sees it that way.
She doesn't give a shit about the sisterhood. Can't speak for Caitlin. It doesn't appear like she gives a shit about the sisterhood because the sisterhood have already denied her.
In the WNBA. But Malika, I agree with her 100%. It is certainly...
For all of the conversation that surrounded her, some which was fair and some which wasn't, the one thing that I cannot deny is the amount of little girls that were showing up to follow her. Little girls with their parents and the fervor and the energy there.
Why her?
Same thing.
Why her?
Well, I was just about to say same thing for Angel Reese when I had a chance to cover their games. But I think Caitlin represented, and again, some of this to me probably is not fair to her because it was not anything that she said or was truly based on her personality.
Then don't say it. Then don't say it. You were basically being interviewed by the BBC to promote women's sports. Then don't say it.
But she was a white girl from the middle of America.
And you literally said, you know, a lot of young kids are watching Caitlin. And then when I cover Angel, a lot of young kids are watching Angel. But these young kids are watching Angel because they support Angel. These young kids are only supporting Caitlin Clark because she's white. Like, don't say, like, are you kidding me?
And so she represented a whole lot to a lot of people, whether that is truly what she prescribed to or not. We can all.
BC. My rookie of the year is going to go...
This is my favorite Monica McNutt take of all time. Because the day she said this, the Indiana Fever were a half a game off the Sky with the tiebreaker. 48 hours later, the Sky, I think, had beaten the Storm. The Fever then beat the Liberty. And then I think the Sky then lost another game. 48 hours later, the Indiana Fever overtook Chicago Sky. 48 hours later.
On the standings. Okay. Because I think that is how you have the opportunity to measure impact.
And the Sky's right above them.
And the Sky right now are in the playoffs, so you'd have to give the nod in my mind to Angel Reese. Look, the double-double streak.
There was a half a game between them. There was a half a game between them.
That she's rocking and rolling, chasing down.
And by the way, the last game, they're like, oh, the double-double streak. I don't think people understand. Teams were intentionally fouling Angel Reese to let her get 10 points.
12 double.
Angel Wilson, the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
And yet so much of the discourse.
Obviously, it's Caitlin talking. Like, Monica McNutt's been awful. She's actually been awful. Like, there's been years of this shit. Every single time Monica McNutt's speaking about Caitlin Clark, it's Caitlin needs to do better. Caitlin this, Caitlin that in a negative way. You are supposed to be promoting the league. You are being in a absolutely, I'm not going to say privileged position because, like, based on everything I've read about Monica McNutt, she worked her way up. She worked her way up. And it's so funny that if you look at what was being said about Monica McNutt in 2021 versus Monica McNutt now. In 2021, when she was up and coming, people were talking about Monica McNutt as if she was, you know, look, she's going to be one of the next big people on ESPN. She's going to be one of the next big people in sports. And now it's at the stage where she's this close. Like, all she's known for, all she's known for is saying Taylor Swift's not a real Knicks fan and Caitlin Clark hate. And it's not even like Skip Bayless level LeBron hate. Because Skip Bayless always, like, whatever you want to say about Skip Bayless, he always made sure to say that he always thought LeBron was a good person. She's done the opposite. She's done the opposite. But yeah, oh, it's ridiculous. Years of this crap. Years of it. Anyway, I'll see you guys. So I got to run. I'm going to head off stream right now. Thank you guys so much for being here. We have had 4,000 viewers total in this stream. And this has been one of our best streams so far in terms of viewership. Thank you guys so much. I will be making... I will be talking a little bit about, well, the game. I'm probably going to have all these videos coming up, and then the game later on today, where we're going to be talking a little bit about, or we're going to be talking about the Storm game, and we're going to be live for the Storm game. And I do feel like we're in a weird time. The next few weeks will be an interesting one. It'll be a really interesting one to see how things go. And if Caitlin Clark goes and hoops for a few more games, like, I think we could be seeing back to 2024 peaks quite soon. I really do. But yeah, that is. Please put a t-shirt under the jersey. It is fine for you to suggest that. It's too fucking hot in here to do that. I will absolutely do that. I will absolutely do that when it stops being... I'm stop sweating in my office even with a fan on.